I'll record this and then send you the link. There was a problem last week with the private video. Somehow it wouldn't allow me to share via email. So I've done the links separately to send out, and the video isn't a private one now, it's just an invite only. So if you haven't got that yet, then I'll do it all in one when I do this one tomorrow. If you, Dorothy, what will happen is you'll get you should, if it works this week, you should get a message directly from YouTube telling you you've got a video to view, and that video you'll only be able to watch it using the email that you use YouTube with.
Right, okay.
You have a YouTube login.
I probably have somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm sure I can find it.
So it will only allow you to use that, and I will use the email that I've got for you based on your purchase. So if it's different, just let me know. And then
no, it will be that email. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's how that will be. It won't come from me. It will come from YouTube, and then you can then it's only you that can access that video then, so you can refer back to it. Okay. So tonight's session then is all about gizmo coiling. So we're going to make gizmos. We're going to gizmo gizmos. We're going to embellish gizmo coils, and on the way there we're going to create jump rings and go through that process too. We'll also look at a few other techniques that you can do with your gizmo coils once they're done, and then you can be free to explore those techniques later. And we're also going to look at making cones. So if you've got a cone-tastic or a wags Y cone or anything like that, brilliant. If you haven't, I'll show you how to do them with your round nose pliers, and we can use and troubleshoot whatever tool you've got to be able to create the cones. And I know we did a bit of that in the Viking knit the other day, so you know, you might want to carry on with a different project while we do that. Okie dokie. Right, I'm going to switch my camera and show you a few of the projects, and we'll get cracking. You just check with have you all got all the list of wires? I think I put a 0.6, 0.8, 1 millimeter. Have you just got a mix of
yeah.
So when we're doing the coils, we're gonna use a 0.6. So we're gonna do this project. Let me spotlight me. So we're gonna look at this project first. Oh, my zoom's gone again. Let's zoom in. So we're going to look at this project first, which is the one that's sort of featured, and we've added the little flourish of a gemstone in the center there. So we're going to create that. So if you have got your, and we'll look at making a bangle like this as well, because we might as well going to create lots of coils. If you've got mixed colored wires, it can work really well to have the mixed colors, because you know, it helps highlight, you know, when you do other colors on top, that sort of contrast really helps highlight it. So we're going to create some gizmo coils, then some gizmo beads, and then use them in different ways. Right, so if you can get your 0.6 wire ready. And I'm not sure, everybody has different gizmo tools, so let me just check with you all what you've got. Have you got the gizmo tool with a very fine rod like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so that's the one.
Gemma, so I've got the little one and the big one, so is the little one the better one to use for tonight?
The little one as in
the wire coiling gizmo, the other one's the professional coiling gizmo.
Yeah.
So not the size of the actual coil itself, but the size of the machine. I've got that one or the bigger one.
It is really up to you, whichever you're happiest to use. I'm just going to use, I've just got this this little handheld one that I'm going to use for me.
Okay.
This one's got this lovely, I think this is the very basic one. This has got a small sort of hole for the tiniest mandrel, and then I think it just fits 2 or 3 different mandrels, this one.
When
So
you
I'm
say the
gonna-
tiniest, I've got a tiny.
Yes, I have.
So does yours look like that
Mm,
or
No.
like that?
It's mine. It's very tiny like that.
yeah, I've got one that's
Oh,
probably 1 mil.
I think you've got this, what's the second one up on the basic,
Yeah.
this thingy.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause
haven't got
mine's
any of the
an
boxes. I haven't got any boxes left. I've just got loads of random.
So I think it's probably a 2 mil.
Yeah, this is it's about 1.5 to 2 mil,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite fine.
So it's the second one up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think one of the gizmo coils comes with a really short.
Yeah, that's it.
Short
Yeah.
tiny one,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can perhaps practice with that one on smaller projects, but for tonight we'll just concentrate on doing these. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a gizmo coil with our 0.6 wire. And then we're going to coil that coil, which is why we're starting with quite a nice fine gauge wire, because then we can explore the options of working with it after. So the first thing to do, have you ever gizmoed before, any of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not for a long time.
Yeah,
Okay.
done once when I
Likewise.
first got the toy.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not sure whether I've been using it right, but I've been using it.
Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to take the tail of the wire. I always keep my wire attached to my reel.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about work hard, softening the wire or anything like that, because we're going to be wrapping it round. So we don't have to worry about any of that bit. So all I'm going to do is take a small tail. I've passed it over the top of the mandrel, and then
Yeah.
I'm wrapping it around that top bit a couple of times just to secure it. And we don't really want anything sticking out because it can scratch your hand as it goes round. So keep the long tails out of the way. And then once you've got that set up in there, we're then going to pop the end of the mandrel through the hole in the handle, okay, or in the vise or whatever you want to call it. And then what I tend to do is we really want to flip this screen. There you go. What I tend to do is hold my wire down against.
Do that because that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but the last when we started, Leslie, it was
Oh,
on the
there's a
side
way.
somehow.
Oh,
Somehow it was on the side.
oh,
Sideways on. Weird.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what I've got here is I've got my fingers holding against the side of the handle here, and then I'm free to wind with this hand, and this is keeping the tension on the wire, so it's hopefully going to stay nice and taut on that mandrel. Okay, so hold it there, and then this handle here I'm just going to turn around. Now once you get started you can go quicker, but I'm just turning it and turning it, and what I'm hoping is that by keeping this pressed against the side of this vise here, it's keeping the coils even. So we don't want them spreading out really, because if they do this, they spread out like this, then when we push them up together, it's baggy, it's loose, because
See very well, Gemma. I'm sorry.
no, it's not good, is it? Let's see.
So I'm just holding it there.
Yeah, it's just too bright. It's all blurring.
Is it? Right, let me turn this.
I've got mine attached to the desk. Am I doing it wrong?
Oh no, some of them are attached, and I'll sort of talk you through that as well.
Yeah, mine's attached to the desk as well.
If you put your fingers there.
Okay, but that's twisted, isn't
Yeah.
it?
That's all right. Oh no. Not end. Is it going on?
What's going on?
Yes, the focus is just not on the right hand.
Yeah, but this, I can't turn the light off on the. That's better, isn't it?
I just can't see the individual wires on the coil. So I think it's blurred. It's not sharp in focus.
No, that's another £100 wasted. Honestly, keep buying cameras to try and get this better. Let's see if zooming out actually might help.
I don't suppose that we can do that with it, can we? Because it's on Zoom.
We might have to go back to the other camera. Or I could work bigger. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go bigger so that you can see it better. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
Just unwind it and do it again.
Right. So you're working with 0.6 on that nice skinny mandrel. I'm going to work on this bigger one and show you the same technique. Okay. So what I'm doing here then is I'm going to exactly the same technique. So I'm holding it like this. Now, if you're working on when that's attached to the table, it's the same. But what you want to do is try and hold your wires. So it's attached to the table, and you still want to keep that wire taut.
Yeah.
So what you've got is the opportunity to hold the wire out like this.
Yeah.
Give it a bit of pull as you turn, so that you've got a bit of tension on there. If you're using it handheld, then you can hold it like this. And we turn and we keep turning, but we don't want the wires to do what we don't want is them to do this and be
You can see that now.
Yeah, we don't want them to come apart like that, because if they do come apart a little bit, it's not so bad. You can push like that, but what you'll notice is because it takes more wire to go diagonally, when you push it up, you'll get a baggy section on your gizmo coil. So in which case, the best thing to do is either hold on to your sort of vise here, or if you attach the table, it's fine. You just pull the wire and it will pull it back so you can start again. So you just pull it and it'll unravel to where you need to be, put it back into position and start winding again. The same thing can be done if you sometimes lose concentration, and this can happen. It sort of goes back on itself. Yeah, so you get like got
on top. Yeah.
So in that case, again, you just pull the wire and it will swivel itself undone, and you can start again. Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is gizmo the whole length of your mandrel. Okay, and as you go, you'll get quicker, and before you know it, you'll just be spinning it around with one finger. You watch.
I've got to this where it's fell out the one end. So do you want me to still carry on?
So no, if you've got to this as far as the tool will allow, that's a good place to stop. So yeah.
Not quite losing concentration. I looked to see where you got to. It's so funny. That's what I get for being nosy.
So yeah, so in the end, I just do this with my finger.
And actually, having it not on the table makes that easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's quicker once you get going, but it's not as quick with higher gauges of wire. It's because it's a bit tougher on your hand. And also with these fine ones, once you get so far, it gets a bit flexy, and you can't go as quick.
Yeah, I've just noticed that actually. I'm starting to struggle. I was doing really well until now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you've got as well. Yeah.
So is there, I know most of you are on the whole course, but is there any particular, anything in particular you wanted to know for tonight, Dorothea, that when you signed up, was there a technique?
No, no, I think partly because you were covering a lot of things, and I've done little bits before, but it was just a way of getting my mind back on it all.
Yeah, okay. So if there is any questions on the way through, or anything you've seen and you think, oh, I want to know how to do that.
Yeah, particularly, and one of the things was the jump rings as well, because that's always a tricky thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely make some jump rings. Okay, so sometimes you might have problems with it sticking to the mandrel. And so the best way to do this, I mean, when I first started doing this, it was a real issue with it sticking to the mandrel. So to get it off, you see that's actually stuck on. So that's really difficult to slide off. My mandrel's well used and it's got a bit more friction than it used to have. So this is tricky to slide off. So what you need to do is because it's a spring now, you need to sort of push the two ends. This way I never cut the ends too close to the coil itself. So you push the ends in opposite directions and sort of hold them. You'll feel the tension and the pull. And as soon as you do that, you can just slide it off.
Yeah. Should we cut our wire now then?
Cut it from the reel, yes, but just leave yourself a little tail just in case it's difficult to get off the mandrel. Okay.
Yep.
And then once you've done that, you can trim off the ends of the wire. So trim it right off nice and close so that it's just a nice coil.
Sorry. Okay, beat me up again.
Sometimes they come off the mandrel really easily, and sometimes they just give you a bit of trouble. So if they do, that's how you get them off.
And then we're trimming it properly at the end, or just leave it for now?
No, trim it right down at the end so you've got no pokey-eyety bits.
No pokies. Oh, ow!
What you do?
Well, my gizmo thing's attached to the table, and my elbow is just scraped across
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'm trying something different, guys. Hold on.
Just seem to be hurting myself a lot today.
No.
That's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm back to my fine coil now, because the next bit should be easier to show you.
Yeah.
So I've got my fine coil, and what I want to do with this is gizmo it again. So to do that, we're going to take more of our 0.6 wire and we're going to thread it through. So again, I'm going to leave it on the reel. I'm going to thread it all the way through our gizmo coil. Okay. Like that.
Okay.
And then we're going to reattach the 0.6 wire. So the new piece, reattach it around your mandrel.
The same size mandrel that we used.
Yeah, the same one. And then you're going to put your mandrel back into your vise.
Oh, wait a minute. What we're doing? Okay.
Never done this bit.
This is what I've wanted to be able to do.
Yeah.
So what we're going to end up with now is the basis of the earrings that are pictured in the photograph. So we're going to end up with something like this.
Okay.
Okay. So what we need to do first is gizmo a short section. So just these little sides here. We're just going to gizmo this section, and then we're going to introduce our coil, and I'll talk you through how to do that. And I'm going to gizmo up the other side. Okay. So our gizmo will sit in the center of a new coil.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start that process again, just turning the wire and making a nice gizmo. Now, I always give myself a little bit extra length than I need so that I got some to cut away if I want to. Okay, so I'm going to gizmo for about, let's say about 1.5 inches. Let me just measure that just to make sure I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, about 1.5 inches. And that's, what is that, 4 centimeters. Yeah, roughly 4 centimeters. Okay. Once you've got that far, what we're going to do is slide our gizmo coil up to meet the mandrel. But before we gizmo, we're going to neaten it up a bit, because when I gizmo straight onto here, what I'm going to end up with, if we look at this one, you're going to end up with sort of an open edge of your coil, and it can be quite a stark sort of end and beginning, and I like to taper that off a little bit. So what we do is the very last coil in our gizmo in our coil here. So I'm going to use this bigger piece to show you.
That's the piece there.
So this very last coil here, can you see the end of it there?
Yeah.
You'll take my flat
On the
nose
big one, are we the big
Yeah, the
one?
big bit.
of the big
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is sort of representing what you've got on your gizmo right now, just a bit
Yeah.
bigger. So the very last one, we're just going to pinch that in and help it close around the wire. Okay, so you're just pinching it until it sort of crimps itself around the wire.
So we're doing that before we actually start using it to
Yeah,
turn.
it will
Okay.
just neaten the final result. So if we're looking for that professional finish on these, this is going to give you just that additional little bit of perfection. Okay, so yeah, closing it up around the wire to taper it.
Okay.
Is that looking okay?
No, I've squashed mine flat.
Squashed it flat. If you have, just nip off that little bit, Dorothea,
Yeah.
and then try again on the next one. Because it's
yeah.
only 0.6 wire, it
Yeah.
is, you know, you'd need a light touch with it, really.
Yes,
So-
I was obviously very heavy-handed.
And you know, with it being a 0.6 wire and quite small, it's not mega important that you do this. It's that little extra finesse, that's all.
Bloody tools.
Okay. So for you guys now, for you guys with the table clamp, this is much easier for you because you don't need to hold this. You just need, so what you're going to do is it's up in your vise like this. You're going to put your fingers here, back here when you turn. Okay,
Right.
so
Stop
that
it
you're
slipping back
pushing,
down.
so that you're pushing the coil up against, because
Right.
if for the rest of us, when we do this, all that's going to happen is it's going to keep coiling. The gizmo that's on the wire is just going to keep slipping back. So for you guys with the table vices, this bit's easier. For you guys that haven't got the table vices, I'm going to show you how I get around this to start me off. Once you're started, it's no problem at all, but starting can be tricky because you're trying to hold everything at once. So if you can manage to start it, you know, hands-free like this, then do, but it's difficult. So what I tend to do is at this end of my wire, so I've got my gizmo coil right up to the mandrel, and at this end I just bend the wire back.
Yeah.
So I'm kinking it back on itself, and that's going to act to stop that pushing down when we start coiling.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hold this very gently because I don't want to put any pressure on here. I'm just holding it gently to guide it. Start turning, and the gizmo coil starts going around the mandrel. Now, as you do that, this will open up, and the gizmo will, you know, it'll end up being straight again. Okay, but it just gets you started, and then you're just very carefully going to wind that around, trying to keep an even speed, because the speed at which you do this will open those coils differently. So if you do it really slow, you're going to open the coils up quite a lot. If you pull any tension on here, you're going to open the coils up a lot as well. So we want to not really put any tension on the coils themselves. Just if you guys with the hand vise hold it below the coil to turn, and us guys that are holding it in our hands, we're just letting the wire slip through, not holding it against the side. Okay.
Mine's opened up.
Well, it will open up a little bit, Claire. So expect it to open a little bit.
Okay.
Mine's just turning and turning and it's not actually going round.
Are
You
you
have to hold the coil bit quite hard because that's what I found. You have to be quite firm.
yeah, you have to
Yeah, once it starts, it goes steady, but it's a
I've
little,
got it. I've got it.
yeah, it does
Yeah,
take,
because my side spinning.
takes a little bit to start, but you'll get there.
I've got
Okay, so once you're nearly at the end, it's time to close the loop the other end as well. So do exactly what you did on the first loop. Just close that up before you get all the way around the gizmo. So just a little tweak with your flat nose pliers to help that sit in. It just makes it a bit more seamless.
I think I've done what someone said they did earlier, squashed it.
Squashed it.
and then do another 4 centimeters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you've got enough of your mandrel left,
Yeah.
just keep going as far as you can. You should just about be able to do it.
It's not right, is it?
So you might get to this, I think, actually, this is a bit big for an earring. I'd rather have this as a pendant, and then next time just do half a coil and have a smaller section in the center. So this one here is half a coil. This one is a full coil. So you can see the difference in sort of scale.
Wow.
The last little bit of that coil that that I'm doing over the top,
Yeah.
it's not opening up at the end as much as it is did on the other bit. So shall I just try and pull it open a bit? Do you know what I mean?
No, sorry, Gail.
So you know, when I'm using the coil to coil.
Let me replace the spotlight. Can you show me?
Yeah, mine didn't open it.
So you can kind of see there.
Yeah.
But at the end here.
Hasn't opened.
No.
Oh, that's okay. Well, there's a couple of options you've got there. It's kind of nice that it is a bit denser at the end because there's nothing pulling on it. You know, it's not pulling on itself. So there's two options. If you don't like that and you want complete evenness, you can just nip down the coils until you've got to the point where you feel it's even.
Yeah.
So just nip them off.
Okay.
And if you just snip one at a time, they'll come off quite easily.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I
Just don't do the middle bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one option. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other, what was the other option? Yeah, you could do that, or just
try and prise it open a bit.
But it's probably if you really want it very consistent, and that is worrying you that bit, then yeah, I would say just chop it off.
Yeah.
Mine's not open.
The other end, that'd be
I
fine.
don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, has everybody got a gizmo on the center of a gizmo?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you removed it from your mandrel?
No.
No. Keep it on for a minute because we're going to do another layer of interest. So if you've taken it off, try and slide it back on.
Do we need to cut it off the main wire?
Yeah, you can cut it from the reel now. Yeah.
Hammering down.
It's obviously right, sweet.
And do you trim off the ends to make it neat again?
Well, yes, you can trim the end. I mean, I want it to stay on the mandrel at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna trim this. Sorry, I replaced my spotlight. I'm not gonna trim this end because I'm gonna use that to help me keep it on the mandrel while I do the next bit.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. Now I'm just gonna get a contrasting wire so that you can see this a bit clearer when I do it. Bear with me. See, I've only got my copper wire out.
Would it be good for us to do a contrast and wire as well?
Sorry, Leslie?
Would it be good for us to do a contrast and wire as well?
No, not necessarily. It's only because it won't show so well on the camera
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
But it's up to you. It does look nice with a contrast wire if you want to.
Do is tighten that end.
Okay.
You can have an abundance of 0.8 wire, but no 0.6 instead of that.
Find out where the pens there. So now
Claire, I'll let you guess what colour I've chosen.
what colour?
Fuchsia. Black, by any chance? All right, I'll be back 1 minute. I need to just check on the kittens. Make sure they're in.
Oops.
It's been, I don't know what it's been like for everybody else, but it's just been constant, either really heavy showers, and then nothing, and then heavy showers and then nothing here all day today. And in Redditch, it seemed to only rain when I got out of the car in Redditch today. On my
We've
way.
had beautiful sunshine.
Have you?
the heavens opened here.
Wait. Well,
You're on mute.
No, I'm not now. Just on mute now.
Can't see her anyway.
Right. Can you see that fairly well?
yeah. It's a 0.6 as well, yeah?
Yeah, 0.6. I've got a slightly higher gauge because I'm showing you, but yeah. So is everybody ready?
Yeah.
No, not quite. Gail's just.
Yeah, I've done my 4 centimetres.
Yes, you've got to
now.
cut that off now.
Okay.
Okay.
Bit.
Yeah, leave a little bit. Just.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the end with my handle, because again I can secure this off to keep it taut while I do this. So I'm just going to take this contrast wire. Now when you start wrapping this round, we need to make sure that we're wrapping in the same direction as our coil. We don't want to go against it, we want to go in the same direction as it. So make sure when you wrap it round, it's in the same direction. So I'm just going to secure that around the handle, just loosely, just to make sure it doesn't pull down. And then I'm going to just wrap sort of diagonally down the side. So trying to keep it as even as you can. Okay, around the side like that. Now when I come to where my coil starts, just here, I'm going to wrap round 2 or 3 times until I reach the coil. So these are much closer together. I'm wrapping closer together here.
Ah, we're not using the gizmo.
No,
Right.
we're doing this bit by hand. Okay, so now I've wrapped down there, I've got 3 wraps this end, and now my wire is, to go any further, it wants to go in between the coils of the gizmo. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, the reason we're not using the tool to do this is because the tool relies on tension, pulling, and we don't want to put any tension on this, because if we pull, this wire is just going to sit into the coils rather than on them and in those gaps. So all we're going to do is gently wrap around, following the coils beneath them, following that, the gaps in between the coils. So very gently, no pulling, you're just sort of wrapping it around as gently as you can, so that wire just sort of sits on the top Okay, and it is probably easier to cut it from the reel, because otherwise you end up getting tangled. You know, your wire gets hard because it's twisting as you're wrapping round. So I find mine was getting a bit springy then, so I've cut it from the reel, and that means you can take the whole piece of wire around without twisting it. Okay,
Is it going to go right to the middle of it? when you
no,
wrap
no,
No,
it's
just
not going in between the
literally on the
coils.
top?
It's not going in between, it's just sitting on the top of those coils.
Okay.
If it does,
Oh,
if it does go down in between, you want to pull it back out and push the coils back together. So give them a push in together to help them close up again, and then come back and go over the top. So what we're getting, to see a better contrast here, is we're getting the sort of wire in between those coils, and it just sort of looks like it's channel set rather than those
Yeah.
coils.
You've got to be gentle, Claire. Gentle.
Yeah, you've got to be gentle for this one.
And they're going into every
Yeah,
wrap.
every gap you have
Yeah.
a
It looks quite pretty.
straight coil.
Contrasting.
Show you, this camera is, can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
You see how they're sat on the outside
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
I'll show you this one with the contrast.
And we're still using the 0.6, aren't we?
Yeah. So you can see how they don't go in between the coils, they just sort of sit on that in the groove, but not into
Yeah.
the coil.
God, this is teaching me how to be gentle with the wire. You know, instead of keeping that tension on all the time when
Yeah.
you're weaving and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. It's allowing it to just sit. And the thing with gizmo coils, they do take up a lot of wire. It's a lot like, you know, the Viking it. You probably used quite a few meters of that last week. But gizmo coils do use up a lot. So if you've got a big stash of wire to get used up, then this is a great way of using it up. Okay, so I've come to the other end of my coil now. And so at this stage, I want to do the same as I've done the other side. So I can see it's 3 wraps around. So this time we're going to have a bit more tension because we want that nice and tight. So 3 wraps around so that it matches the other side. And then that sort of diagonal spiraling round. And again, you can make that match the other side if you're careful. Okay, and we're just going to leave that wire loose for a minute.
That's nice.
It's pretty, isn't it? It's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, if you just do small ones, they make lovely beads. They're lovely, lovely little beads to go in between, you know, in your rosary links or.
Yeah, I've wanted to be able to do this for a long time. I haven't kind of gone on to the end very well, if I'm honest, but
that's all right. It'll take a bit of practice. You know, this is the first one. There'll be plenty to practice on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carefully remove this from the mandrel. So I'm just going to carefully unwrap that temporary wrap with the wire that we've gone over the top with, because I'm going to use it. So I've got some on the other end as well. And then we can get rid of the excess of the 0.6 that's actually on the mandrel now. So we can remove this from the mandrel and snip off the excess wire from the coil. Okay.
So the original wire.
Yeah, the original coil, the base one.
Yeah.
And then what we want to do is make sure that these are the same length, because if they're going to be a pendant or earrings, I mean, this is actually massive for a pair of earrings. So we can then trim off however much we want, but we'll have to perhaps unwrap some of this. The reason you have to do this on the mandrel is because it's not strong enough on its own for you to be pulling the wire around. That's why you keep it on the mandrel to do it. So I'm going to stick with the length of mine because I can turn this into a nice pendant. So that's what I'm going to do. And then if I want to do another pair that are earrings, are just half the size of everything. So I'm going to keep it there. And it's not strong enough on its own. It always needs a core. So any gizmo coil you use, you need to have a core through it, because any tension on it and it will just pull out. So you've got to put a core through. So we can stick with a 0.6 wire for the core. If you want something a bit more robust, then you can go up to a 0.8 perhaps. But I'm going to stick with a 0.6.
Are you cutting that one anyway? Just don't cut this top one, this one here.
So now there's a core wire in there. I can then do the same as we did before we gizmoed the gizmo, and just close up those ends so that it just stops that hard finish and helps everything taper in towards to a point. So I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and pinch those ends in to get them close.
Pumpkin, come on off, you're wet. Oh, come on. Come on, you silly cat.
How much wire at the end?
Shut the
How much to leave through the
the core.
center?
core,
What we're
yeah.
going to do with that is make a little wrapped loop. So I'd
Okay.
say keep yourself a couple of inches each end,
Okay.
but for now.
I hope I've left enough on the extra bits we've just done.
Oh yeah, we're not going to use much of those. Or we just
Okay.
didn't want to cut them off until we'd
Right.
finished. Okay, so I've closed up my ends now, and I can see they meet the right sort of size. And then these, the wire that you've wrapped around your gizmos, this loose wire, we then just take up to that top, wrap it round firmly once, and then get rid of it. So then we can cut it off. Okay, so it's just wrapped round once. You see how that's just been cut there? Just to
Yeah.
taper it into the end, that's all.
Oh, Pumpkin.
Come on, baby. Get down. Oh,
Is that your mischievous cat?
yes.
She's just come in from outside and she's decided she wants to come and see us, and she's climbing on the table.
She's soaking wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely
So I've
cat.
got nice wet, dirty paw prints on my trousers now.
Right. Can I ask one question before we carry on?
Yeah.
So, because I haven't kind of done this very neatly,
Yeah.
the kind of the wrap around at the edge.
Yeah.
I've gone round 3 times on that one. It still doesn't look brilliant, but I didn't on that one. So can I undo this wrap, stick it back on the coil, and then just wrap it round 3 times?
Yeah. You can do it the other way. Yeah.
Or failing that, if I wanted to actually cut off so I hadn't got this extra bit over here and it was literally only went over there, would that work? Yeah, you need a little bit at the end to hold it in place. So you need about three coils at the end of any gizmo bead, because otherwise it won't be strong enough to hold its. A gizmo coil, a gizmoed gizmo isn't strong enough on its own. You need that core wire to wrap a couple of times to help it stay put. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you have to have a few little ends. That's unfortunately. Okay, so I've neatened up, I've cut all my excess wires off. I've now just got the wires that are protruding from my sort of little section I've made here. So all I'm going to do now is use these wires to create a bail or a loop at the top to suspend it from wherever it's going. So I'm just going to take the wires and give them 2 twists will be plenty. Two twists will be plenty, and then we're going to cut off one side of that twist. Okay,
And then this other side, we're going to create just a wrapped loop. So if you were with me last week, you'll know exactly what to do. If wrap loops are something I haven't done for a while, then bring this longer wire here off to the side, so at a 90-degree angle off to the side here. Take your round nose pliers, pop that sort of on that bend, and then we're going to bring the wire around the jaws of the pliers until that loop sits centrally on the stem. Okay, once it's there, you can then put it back into your pliers just to hold the loop steady. Don't pinch it, because if you pinch that loop, it's likely to crimp it and make the wire brittle. So just holding it just to keep the shape, and then take the tail wire and wrap it nice, tight, close wraps all the way around that twisted section. Okay, and what I like to do here is a bit like the briolet wrapping. So I like to take this wrap just across the top as well to hide the tops of the gizmo coils. So once you've got so far, you're then just going to take the wire and wrap it round the top section as well, just hiding those little bits, those little ends. Okay, and this is another reason why it's good to taper and pinch those ends of the gizmo coils in, because it helps stops you having the steps, the stepped edges. Okay, so that's wrapped around there now. Change the video a second. So if I show you what the top's looking like, just like that.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is put a little coil here, because if I've got a little coil there, I can dangle something from it. I can have something hanging in the center, and it's easy to suspend something in there. Okay, so back to the other one. So to make the spiral, I'm going to leave myself about 3 centimeters, and then take my round nose pliers to the very tip of the wire and start to roll that in. So spiraling the wire in. So start with a nice tight loop at the center and keep rolling that down until your spiral started. Once you've got it started, you can then hold across the spiral and roll that in towards the center.
I cut my wire, unfortunately, so I haven't got enough for a spiral.
Oh no, never mind. You can add one in, or you can add a loop in some other way. But that hides a bit of mess at the top, or gives you somewhere to suspend a central gemstone from. Okay, so mine's a little bit lopsided, but hopefully you've got something that looks a bit like that you can now sort of decide, you can use it to suspend something in, or you can sort of look at that to help you create a smaller version for earrings.
Yep.
Okay.
I quite like mine without, so it's fine.
What have you got, Leslie? Oh, that looks fantastic. Black and white.
Yeah.
That looks lovely. It's
Yeah,
really...
but I cut that off, so I haven't got the
Oh.
spiral. But I don't mind that. I quite like it like that.
Yeah, it's
Bit
only
of
if you wanted to put something in there, but
I'm quite
yeah.
pleased with that.
Yeah, it looks great.
Really
Haley,
neat.
how's yours looking?
Not too bad, but I
Oh
did
yeah.
a bit wonky here.
Oh, okay, that's
The
all right.
wire ended up going in between, so
Went
when
in
I
between.
pulled it out, yeah.
Yeah, so when that happens, just pull the wire back out, unravel it, and then push the coils really tight up together so that they sort of almost go into each other, and then they'll spring out a bit and hopefully give you a new surface to work on. So yeah, but it will take a bit of practice. It looks really great. Looks great. Dorothea, how's yours doing?
Yes, that's okay. Can you see that?
Oh, that looks lovely. Oh, nice contrast. But we've got gold, silver, and blue.
Oh, that's nice.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. Really nice. And Claire and Gail?
Okay. Just mine's a little bit wonky.
Nice.
That looks great.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
look
Really
great.
good.
I didn't realise until I've just put them together that I've done this bit wrong. You've got 4 there and 3 there.
Oh wow. You live and learn.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you know, this one shows you so many. I start with this one because it shows you so many techniques in one little motif. So
I did get a tiny spiral.
yeah, no, it looks good. It's really neat and tidy. Looks
Yeah.
lovely.
I think they're really good.
Gail.
Yeah. I'm quite chuffed.
I'm behind because I was trying to sort out those ends.
Oh, that looks smashing.
Lovely.
It's really
What have
nice.
you used? Is that antique bronze or?
Wow.
Copper,
Is it
all right.
copper?
very
It looks-
copper.
It looks like antique bronze. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, right
That's-
then. So are you all feeling confident that you can create a gizmo coil, gizmo coil, and then embellish a gizmo coil?
Yes.
They're really quite sturdy, aren't they? They're quite
Yeah.
sturdy.
Yeah, they're lovely. They
Right.
look lovely. You know, like Gail showed us earlier, her Viking knit section in a necklace.
Yeah.
That you can make really nice sections that sort of give you a similar look with the gizmos. And you know, they look really solid and substantial. Great to
Yeah.
mount big chunky gemstones on.
Yeah.
And also great to cover things like, you know, if you've got memory wire, making gizmos is great to cover. Yeah, see, it looks,
Oh yeah.
gives you the same sort of effect, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Just a bit.
If anything, I mean, they both look nice, but this just has got something a little bit more.
Yeah,
It's more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It does look
I
nice.
like it.
It really does. Yes, you can make sections. You can buy longer gizmo tools. There's like a deluxe gizmo,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
got much longer mandrels.
Yeah.
It's quite tricky to work with, as you can imagine how your smaller one was flexing as you got to the end.
Yeah.
So you do get a bit of that happening with those, but you know, if you can, it's worth persevering. And if you watch the videos of I don't know which nationality, I think it's Filipino ladies are creating these fantastic sculptures with wire. Now they use aluminium, but they just put a long rod in a drill,
Yeah.
and with the wire in, and they just put the drill on, and it just spins it up the shaft that they're using, so you can make really long. So if you know anybody that can get you long thin pieces of steel, then you can just attach it to your drill and make really long pieces. So that would be nice. Okay, so variations. Shall we go through this again with a higher gauge wire?
Yeah.
And we'll end up with a bangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can sort of elongate this bangle by putting some beads on. So if this it's only going to make a bangle just slightly longer than the actual mandrel itself. And so if you need to make it bigger, then you're going to have to add some beads onto the ends,
okay,
to make it a bit bigger. But if we go through that same process again on a larger scale.
So is it the same size mandrel?
No, we're going to go up a size mandrel.
A size.
So because you've all got different mandrels, upper size might be different for one of you than it is for another. So let me tell you which size I'm going to use.
I've got a measure here, and it's 4 mil. At the next one up on this, the ones I've got. So
Where does it say the size? Is it saying on it, or are you just looking at the box?
no, I've got. I'll show you what I've got.
Mine's
I've got a mat. Got these things on it. And
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
on it.
Oh, right, okay, thank you.
I think the one I'm using is a 3mm.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking on the box. It says 3.2 for this one that I've got. So
Yeah, this would be a 3.2 I've got. Have you got one?
Yeah.
It won't matter too much if it's a bit bigger.
I think mine's slightly bigger.
That's okay. You just have a chunkier bracelet.
Try to see. I've got 2 similar.
So So for this one, we'll use a 0.8 wire to do all the gizmo work and a 1 mil wire for the core. And if you have got contrasting wires that you want to use, then it does always look nice.
Do you want some coloured wire from upstairs? Or not bothered? I'll go and get some. 2 seconds. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
It's so hot.
Right, so I've got to get my brain working again now. So,
0.8.
Gemma, are we still spotted, or are
Oh,
you
you are.
spotted?
You are.
No, you're still spotted.
Okay.
Don't want to put everybody through that misery of looking at us all the time.
So do you want us just to make a coil then?
Yeah,
Like,
if you want to get a head start, yeah, just make. So I'm just going to use that bigger mandrel. Mine's a 3.2. If you've got the 4, that should be okay.
Okay.
And then attach your wire in just like before. So around the handle, and then gizmo the whole length of your mandrel. Leslie, has your mug arrived?
the Bojo?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay. Well, I don't know if there is a tracking. I don't do the postage. Faye's done the postage.
Yeah.
She will have like proof of delivery, but I don't think she'll have a tracking.
All
number.
right. Because it was with Every, I thought there might be.
It was with her. Oh, did she done the collection service, has she? Oh, there might
Yeah.
be then. There might be. I don't know what she's doing at the moment. Yeah,
I'm just always
No,
but wary of like what's called Every now. You always hear these.
oh, it was them, was it?
Yeah.
I'm not a Hermes fan. So they've changed their name to Every.
Every, EVRI.
Oh, Every. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just because it's them. I'm always a
Yeah.
wee bit wary of them.
Yeah, no, I've not had the best experience with Hermes.
No.
they're not my favourite people.
I think because Faye's having problems getting to the post office, I think she's probably arranged for a pickup. So
Yeah.
that's probably why she's used them. Yeah, I'll ask her.
There's plenty of time because it only went out on the, I think, the 7th, but
Yeah,
it's just because if it had been the post office, I wouldn't have bothered.
yeah,
But because it's them, yeah, they can be a bit,
yeah. Well, they might chuck it over the fence or something. That's
yeah, they can be a bit off. Yeah.
Are we doing the whole length of this now?
Yeah.
So you're going to create a gizmo coil the whole length of the bigger mandrel, and then we're going to chop off the ends nice and neat and tidy.
You've got to make sure that you're not getting the wire all twisted, aren't you? With the thicker one, it seems to.
Yeah, you've got to leave. You've got to have it quite loose. You know, your reel has got to be able to move quite freely. Otherwise, your wire twists. So, yeah.
Put it between my legs.
Mine's dangling from the table.
Right. So once you've got that gizmo coil, you're then going to get another 0.8 wire, whether it's the same one or another, but you're going to post that onto the 0.8 wire before you do the next part.
Oh, It's getting the muscles working in my arm, I tell you. I'm aching already.
Oh, sorry, I'll throw that out now.
Yeah.
Now I've got a habit of when I put the wires around the end, I'm actually trapping them in there.
I'll stop it.
I know.
I messaged Carol, by the way.
She okay?
Yeah, we should, yeah.
Yeah.
She, I just wanted to thank her for my necklace.
Oh,
Oh, that Carol. Sorry, yes.
Yes,
yeah.
she got back to me this morning, so
Yeah,
she
good.
told me to get home for a day or two this week.
That's
So.
her. I don't even know if she's had her box because she's not been at home. So
So she says it's probably still at the post office, but I've told
Yeah.
her not to watch the recording until she's opened her box.
yeah, because that will ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
Right, so we're now trimming this off, aren't we? Are we doing neat at each end or not?
Yes, we will. I mean, you can do that. You can do that now if you want to whilst it's on, because it'll still slide on the wire. So if you want to neaten the ends up before you start coiling, then
Yeah,
Feel
no,
free.
hang on. We're still stuck on, Gemma. We got to take this one off, this
Yeah.
first one.
the first one you do, you're going to take off,
And chop the ends off.
chop the ends off nice and neat, then thread it onto your other 0.8 wire, whether it's the same. I don't know if you're using the same color or contrast, but
Okay.
thread it on, ready to.
We're just basically doing exactly the same again.
Exactly the same again. Yes, we're going through this process again, just using a thicker gauge and see how that makes a difference. And we'll put this one, we'll put a core through and make it into a bangle.
Oh, I'm really sorry, but I've just had this message come through and it's come up on the screen on the iPad and I really want to share it with you.
Ugh.
I'll tell you why, because it's from Sarah Casey.
Okay.
And she said she's just to say thank you so much again for the necklace. I've worn it all day today. Went perfectly with the t-shirt I had on. I am going to try and take some photos to capture the different tones and the shimmers, as I'm sure my little camera on the laptop didn't do it justice yesterday.
Oh,
Hope to catch up with you and Gail at some point on the wirework courses. Thanks again.
Dorothea and Hayley,
Oh.
Claire and Gail and Leslie have just finished the Creative Confidence course and they graduated last night. And part of our graduation ceremony was secretly people had made a gift for each other, like Secret Santa. And so yeah, so it was lovely. Everybody got their graduation certificates and mugs and jewelry yesterday. It was nice.
lovely. It was really nice.
Right, so are you ready to gizmo the gizmo?
Just about.
I'm sorry. Do I need to put the same wire through, same size?
Yeah, same. We're going to
Right,
stay with a
same.
0.8 for all the gizmoing. The core that we use to go through will be the 1mm.
Right. Okay, so just stick this back on.
And we're doing another 4 centimeters or
Possibly a bit. Yeah, it's going to be around the same. Keep an eye on it, Gail, because this gizmo is going to be bigger than the last one.
Yeah.
So I probably have to have a little bit less than you did for the first one. We want this to sit at the center. Now it might be that we get so far and we think actually we're going to run out of mandrel. So it might be that you cut a bit of the gizmo off.
Yeah.
okay.
So we're going to have to sort of judge it. It was going to depend on a few things. This how tight your coils are, how tight the gizmo is, and how big your mandrel is. So there's a few variables here. So what we'll do is we'll play it by ear together and troubleshoot as we go. So sound okay?
Me too.
Oh, I don't know
Looking at
more than
this.
that, but yeah.
Okay, so we're going to leave that gizmo out of the way whilst we coil the first sort of, 1.5 inch-ish. Okay.
Didn't do that very well.
Now, to get as much out of the length of this mandrel as possible, we can sort of continue to coil once it's out of the mandrel and we get an extra inch then. So, there's always that opportunity as well. Okay, So I think I'm as far as I can go of mine. I might actually have to come out a little bit. Okay, so to undo and come back, just pull on the wire and let the mandrel spin and it will undo nice and easily.
I've done that. See, so I think I need it back just a centimetre. You see?
Yeah, but that's going to be
Yeah. Yeah, true. It's difficult, isn't it?
Bit of guesswork for this. All right, so once you've got to that point where you want to introduce your coil, push it up to meet the gizmo on the rod. And if you're in the vise, just make sure you're pushing up firmly. So I tend to hold the wire sort of with my little finger, sort of gripping it and then pushing with my thumb and forefinger up to the mandrel there and turn. But if you're using the hand turning method, then you'll want to kink that wire back if you find you can't turn it without it.
And do we want to tighten the end of this coil, the coil that we're coiling with?
Yeah, I would always recommend doing that, just
Yeah.
to taper the design in.
Okay. I'm gonna have to practice at that because I just keep squashing them.
Yeah.
You find it easier with the larger gauge. It's going to be a bit easier because it's not as fragile.
She says I just squash half a dozen of them.
Okay. So for me, when I'm doing this, mine's sat nice and centrally on the whole rod, but actually I'm going to run out of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go as far as I can, and then I'm going to hand wrap the rest.
Oh, because we're making the bracelet, aren't we? So
Yeah.
Come on, little bit, get in.
So I've gone as far as I can, and it's not enough, but I have got enough of the rod left. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the wire against the rod with my thumb and forefinger and just turn the rod. So the wire's turning underneath my thumb and forefinger. You can manually wrap around, but you don't get the same sort of consistency in the coils if you do that. So I find sort of twisting it with it underneath my thumb and forefinger, keeping it tight to the mandrel, is the best way to get right to the end and really make the use of the whole length of that mandrel. Okay. So once you're done, you can snip off, and you can snip. I'm going to leave myself a bit of a tail so that if it is stuck on the mandrel, I'm going to be able to get it off, but I don't need much here because we will be getting rid of the tails of these wires. So how are you liking the bigger coils? You find that they open more?
Yeah.
They open up a lot more than the small. They don't look, as quite as dainty, a bit more chunky. And they look nice like this, but I do think it sort of finishes them off. Put that extra wire around, it sort of neatens it all up. I'll show you what mine looks like on the mandrel and
Okay, I probably didn't do enough to start with by the looks of it.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I haven't got lots there.
there's another example there with that multicolored wire. That's quite nice in the gizmo. If you've got any of that, when Jewelry Maker did these for a while, these sort of multicolored
Yeah.
wires, and they gizmo up quite nicely. It's the way I found I like to use them. Okay, so this is what yours should be looking like about now. Quite an open gizmo. Now, the other reason I like to wrap around them and sort of put the wire through these slots is because you always get this little open area here.
Yeah.
Which I find just I just find it a bit untidy.
Yeah.
And
Jim,
I
can I
feel,
interrupt a second?
yeah,
Sorry, because this is what I've got. I think I didn't do enough at the beginning
hold on 2
So-
seconds.
because I wasn't sure I was going to have enough the other end.
Yeah. All right, so you've got a shorter end, that end.
Yeah,
How much wire have you got on the tail at that end?
not an awful lot.
Will it help you level it out, or no, not quite
Not really.
enough? Okay.
So
Well,
I unbit and go back.
you could do, or you could, I mean, we could just go through, if you've got some beads you can put on the end to make it longer.
Yeah, I've always got beads.
Yeah, that might, if we can go through the technique, Claire, without having to start from the,
Yeah.
and then you can come back to it and adjust it maybe and add some beads. But if we go through the technique, you can always take it off after,
Okay.
just to keep us on track with the timing.
Yeah,
Is that all right?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I just wanted to check that before I went any further with it. So
Yeah, I mean, get as many coils out of that tail as you can.
Yeah.
Because that might give you an extra, I don't know, an extra centimetre or something. Oh, yeah, so that little gap there is it sort of frustrates me, and so that's why the other reason I like to wrap the tails around the extra wire around, because it tends to fill that little gap up quite nicely. So other things you can do, we get a video back, other things you can do is you can get some microfaceted gems or seed beads and go into that gap the same. You
Right,
can, you know, so that's really nice. You can wrap your wire around to here and then, you know, cover them in seed beads and go around. That's really pretty. You can't gizmo seed beads on the wire, so you can't pre-thread your wire and then gizmo with them. They break and snap and you don't get an even coil, so I wouldn't recommend trying that, but you can embellish your coils with them after. Okay, so we're going to do the same again. We're going to wrap around here and take our wires up to the end either side. So you can use a contrast or the same color again, it's up to you. The other thing that's nice is that we haven't done any wire twisting in any of the courses yet. If you've got a wire twist at all, you can twist wire. That's nice to gizmo with, and it's also nice to embellish with as well.
Oh, that'd be nice, yeah.
So this time with this one, you don't have to take the wire all the way up the rest of the bracelet if you don't want to. You can just sort of trim it off just at the end of the coil rather than taking it all the way down the sort of the bangle section. It's really up to you. Okay, so once you're ready and you've done that bit, you can then remove the whole coil from the mandrel. And then I'm going to nip off the excess wire on each end. And also level up my two ends. I can see this end is longer than this one, so I'm just going to take my ruler and sort of cut them to the same length each.
So when you said we could actually use beads and go in,
Yeah.
could also use bigger wire, presumably? Or would that look so effective?
Bigger wire to make this?
To go over, you know, when you're going in the gaps.
Yeah, you could use a larger gauge wire if you wanted to. Yeah.
I suppose the only thing is the neatening of it at the end.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I've consistently stayed with the 0.8 here all the way through. But,
Yeah.
you know, you can, particularly if you're going to take it all the way up, you wouldn't have any end or finishing bits to deal with, because we could hide the ends underneath some wrapping. Okay, so there's a couple of things you could do to extend this if you wanted to. You could stretch the coil out a bit and have it with a bit of a bit of space in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that doesn't hold well, and the spacing will become uneven. We're going to put a clasp in. You could make the clasp big and therefore give yourself an extra bit of length there as well. Or my favorite thing to do really is just to add a little bead either end to complement, you know, the design. So pick one, even some little spacer beads, you know, they would work. Some little ones like 4mm to match the size of your coil would end that off quite nicely. So something on the ends to extend this so it's a bracelet length. What have I got here? But whatever you choose, it's got to be able to take a 1mm wire through, because that's what we're going to use to create the strength to make it a bangle.
I might have put a couple on actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah.
Right, so when you're ready, you're going to pass a 1mm wire through the whole thing, through the whole coil. Oh, I've accidentally picked up sterling silver wire. I don't want to do that.
Ooh.
How much do you need of the 1mm either end?
Okay, so I'm going to say leave yourself, so that we've got plenty to work with. One end we need a bit more than the other, so one end leave yourself about 12 centimeters, which is 5 inches.
Yep.
And the other end, well, let's go for the same. Let's go for 5 inches either end, then we've got plenty to work with.
Okay.
I'm going to thread that through. And then if you are putting beads on the end, put those on either end as well. Okay, so Oh, I'm pleased with that. It's looking nice. So the first end we're going to do is we're going to do the trickier bit first, because it's easier to do the loop when everything's in place. So we're going to make the hook first, and I'm going to talk you through how to do that. So if I could talk you through first, then we can do it together again after. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got a nice length of wire here. So I've got about 2.5 inches. Let's say, yeah, 2.5, about 2.5 inches from the end. And I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm going to bend that wire all the way back with itself. And I'm pushing really firmly against the top of the pliers. So I get a really nice tight bend on that top. And then once I've got that, I'm then going to pinch that closed so that it's now almost one wire close together.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to come back along here about an inch. So I've got about 1.5 inches of wire here to play with. And I'm going to push that upwards, okay, against the pliers. So it's sticking out. And I'm going to use that to wrap around itself. Okay, so nice and tight, wrapping it around itself. 2-3 times, however many times you feel comfortable to do. Okay, and then we're going to snip off the excess wire. I'm going to try and get in as close as we can so we've got nothing sticking out. Okay, and then we're going to make this into a hook. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the very tip of the wire in my round nose pliers, very tip of that, what will become our hook, so where that bend is, very tip, about halfway down my pliers, and I'm just going to tip it forward like that, so it looks like it's the front of a ski or a sledge. Okay, so that tips forward. Then I'm going to go down into the deeper part of the jaws of my pliers. So I've got that bigger mandrel to go around, or bigger circle to go around, and I'm going sort of halfway between where I've made that bend and where the wraps are, and I'm just going to bend the hook around, so halfway one way, and then finish it by pushing the other end so that the hook is sort of central.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our little shepherd hook. We've doubled up the wire because it make it nice and strong and less likely to catch on clothing and things like that. We don't have to deal with any filing or finishing ends. Okay, and then the final thing is to take your flat nose pliers just above where you've got your wraps, and we're just going to kink that backwards. Okay, so it then is very much like a little Bo Peeps hook.
Yeah.
All right, so should we do that again together?
Yeah.
Go through it again. Right. So if you struggle with if your 1 mil wire is quite hard, it might be a good idea to come down a bit further than that 2.5 inches. So to give yourself a bit more leverage to wrap. So if go for 3 inches down, perhaps, we still got plenty of room the other end. So flat nose pliers or flat pliers onto your wire and push that wire all the way around so that it doubles back on itself. Like that, and then we're going to pinch that closed, and sometimes it does that, sometimes it twists and won't pinch. Just persevere until you get that nice and flush together like that. Okay, and then come down, hold again with your flat nose pliers about 1 inch from the top, and then take that tail. And the reason I pull it up first is just to help it with positioning when you come to wrap. If I just started to wrap with it straight down, it would take a little while before it started to go round. So we make that bend first, and that starts the process. And then we take that around the wire. So 2 or 3 wraps, it's up to you. 2 will be plenty.
So you're leaving how long? 1 inch? No.
Yeah, about 1 inch from the top, from where the bend is, will be plenty. and then trim off the excess wire.
Gemma,
Yeah.
sorry, because I was doing me pinching bit. What did you do with your pliers about the inch way down before you wrapped?
I don't.
Sorry.
That's right. We can run through it as many times as we need. So I'm just, yeah, let me get to where you are, Claire.
Okay.
We wondered why you weren't answering us because we were on mute talking to you.
We're not quite telepathically linked yet.
Wouldn't it be
Right.
lovely sometimes?
Okay, so come down about an inch from the top of that,
Yeah.
from that bend, and hold on with your pliers.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this shorter wire bends straight upwards.
Right.
Okay, and that just starts off the process of it going round, because we're then just going to use that to go around the other wire, you know, the longer wire.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just didn't catch it and I was like, missed it. And then by the time I said, oh, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's right. Everybody all right with that so far?
Yeah.
We'll turn it into a hook now. So that very end of the pliers of the where the bend is, you're just going to go halfway down your round nose pliers and just kink it slightly upwards, or just so that you get that ski slope, that sort of ski sort of front to it. And then halfway down, right down into the fattest part of your round nose pliers, and then bend the hook around until, you know, it sort of meets like that. And then the very last bit, take your flat nose pliers just by where those wraps are. Just where those that little wrap section is, and we're just going to kink that back so the hook is just sort of sat back on itself slightly. Okay. Everybody all right? Everybody got that hook in?
Yeah.
You ready? Okay, next bit then. So what you can do now is push everything right up against that hook. Okay. So that's keeping it nice and taut. And then this side, we're just simply going to make a loop. So it's like a bigger wrapped loop. So we're going to just make the loop a little bit bigger than we would usually. So if you've got bail making pliers, fantastic. Use an appropriate size loop on your bail makers. It doesn't need to be massive. It's, you know, it's only a 2mm width hook, so it doesn't need to be huge. So if you have got those, great. If not, you can use something like a pen or perhaps one of your gizmo rods to help you make a bigger loop. The first thing I'm going to do is take my flat nose pliers or chain nose pliers up against the bead that I've got at the end of this coil. And I'm really pushing down so that there's tension in there. So it's not loose, it can't move up and down. So I've really pulled that through. And then I'm leaving my pliers there because I want a bit of a neck to wrap around. So I'm just going to push that wire over to the side, that 90-degree angle again. And you'll see the wires, it's slipped back up, but that space is still there when there's tension on. Okay, then we're going to put our loop just here. So I'll use bail makers so that I'm not in the way to show you. So I'm going to go for the 4th step on my bail makers and turn a loop around the bail area. Okay, so I've got that loop sat centrally at the end of my gizmo coil. And then again, I'm going to keep my pliers in there, not gripping, but just so that when I wrap the wire, it doesn't distort the loop. Take that wire and wrap it around that neck area that we left. So we know the space is there, even though it's closed up. We're just going to wrap around until it's really tight and that bangle is very, you know, sort of robust because it's so taut. Okay, so once you've got that wrapped around, you can then trim off that excess wire. Again, try and make sure that you've got it as close in as you possibly can. You've got no rough bits. And if there is a bit sticking out, you can go in with your snipe nose pliers and give it a pinch to close it up and stop any scratchy bits. Okay, and then once you're done, you can just gently shape your bangle. And because you've tipped that hook back, it should, the other thing you might want to do is tip the loop slightly inwards. Okay, so it's angled slightly inwards, because then when you do this, you can do this one-handed. You can get your bangle on and off because the angles work, and that little tipped up end on your hook sort of enables it to slide in nice and easily. And that's it, you've got a bangle. That you can take on and off with one hand.
I'm still doing that in.
How's it all going? Let me see. Who's Dorothy? Have you finished?
Got a thing of me there.
Have a look. Yep. Oh wow, that looks great. Is that turquoise wire? Is that
Yeah.
turquoise?
I'm using up the ends of all sorts of things here.
That's lovely. That turquoise color. That's worked really well.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah. And is it nice and secure? And you feel it's robust? And
Yeah, I mean, I've just been struggling with the wrapping bits because
yeah.
I still can't squash the ends neatly.
Okay.
No.
Well,
But anyway, the principle I understand.
yeah, it just takes a
The
bit.
gizmo bit is fine. It's the other bits that are a bit more
Yeah, just those little. And do you know what? They are the details. They're not like vitally important. They're just, you know, when you've become a bit more practice and then you really want to refine, that's the sort of little details that will help you get those snug finishes and you know, save you having to tidy everything up at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, just practice. So it's more a case of you're actually trying to tighten the coil up rather than pinch it. So it's a case of pinching gently all the way around, a bit like closing a crimp tube, which I'm also pretty bad at. So, you know, it's getting that technique as best you can, but it isn't vital, because the other way to sort of neaten ends up is to pop a bead on the end, because that closes the gap up as well.
Yeah.
So right, Hayley, how you doing?
Not bad. My hook didn't go very well.
Oh, no, it looks really good. It's just inside out. So what you need to do is open your bracelet back up and do it round it the other way, so that your hook is on the outside.
Oh, the hook's on the outside.
And then it will work perfectly.
I've done the same thing.
Have you?
Yeah.
Hook on the inside. I just think it's harder to do up with it that way.
Also, it can stick into you as well.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay.
It should be nice and flexible for you to be able to do that. It shouldn't be too much of a problem.
There's just going to be a huge gap there.
How's yours looking, Leslie?
Yeah, I'm just turning it inside out again because I had to outside in. I mean.
Claire, Gail, are you?
Okay. Well, mine obviously was short.
Yeah.
So I'll probably give this one to the baby.
Oh, it's looking good though. That's nice. I like the mix of colours. Yeah. Is it that small, Claire? Is it? Because it
is that small.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because you know, I wouldn't get mine over my hand, but it definitely goes on my wrist.
It's
No, not quite. It's not far off though, is it?
no.
You just made the hook a bit longer. It's not far off.
Could make it just bend that hook out. Hang on. There. I'll bend the hook out and then put it back in, I suppose, actually.
But
Bend
it
that
looks,
back out.
but it looks nice. How's yours doing, Gail?
Oh, I'm behind.
You're perfecting everything as you go, aren't you?
No, I'm just getting lost.
Haley, how's yours looking? You got it in the other way now? Yeah, that's
Yeah, I've got it the other way.
so that little up tippy bit at the end of your hook,
Yeah.
it just
Needs
needs
to
to
go
be much, sort of half of that angle. So just
Yeah.
like the very tip of a ski, just so it's tipping out.
Right, yeah.
The only purpose of it is to help this action. So I just changed to this video. The only purpose of it is so that when you're is that in focus? No, it's not going to. It needs something behind it. That's why this camera, I've swapped it. So the only purpose of it is that when you do that, it just slides over it.
Slides, yeah.
Instead of getting caught, so you don't have to get the angle perfect. It will sort of catch it. So it is literally just the slightest up tip to help get it in. How's yours, Leslie? You've got it in the right way now.
Yeah, I've just noticed my loops not my wraps at the end are not very neat. That's something. I think it's because it's the wire's so thick.
Yeah. So we've gone up a gauge, haven't we, to that 1 millimeter.
Yeah.
But really, ideally, because you're making clasps and hooks, and it's also supporting all of that gizmo work.
Yeah.
1 mil, if you can get it to work for you, that's the best.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, haven't we done well?
Yeah.
Right. So what time is it now? We usually sort of have a bit of a breather. So it's a good time. Should we say just to get a drink?
I got it on.
Go to the loo, all those
We
things.
got it on.
Oh, nice, Claire. So look.
It is very tight.
Yeah,
Maybe too tight.
a smaller wrist, but it's nice though. It's
Yeah.
nice. And you know what? The nice thing about these, Gail, do you want to share yours, or are you gonna hold on?
No,
You're gonna hold on. Okay.
yeah, I'm not ready. It's not there yet.
That's right. Okay. So the nice thing about these is if you after the session, when you've practiced and you've made some more, the nice thing is you've got all these little components. You can cut them off of your bracelet and you can use them as beads, or you can use them in other projects. You know, you can add to them, take bits off, and so you know it's not wasted. It's all practice and you know, and refining. So that's good news. Right, so shall we say just 5 minutes? I know I could do with a bathroom break. So and then we'll come back and we'll do some jump rings and then some combs. Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay.
fabulous. See you in just a mo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye for now.
So Dorothy, have you been doing wire work for long?
On and off for bits, yeah, certain things for a while. I did more sort of wire crochet.
Okay, very intricate.
And,
So what do you use, 0.25 or 0.4 or?
Well, not 0.3 usually.
Oh, right, okay.
315 or whatever it is.
Yeah. And do you make sort of netted like mesh jewelry, or do you create flowers and
Yeah, I've
individual
been
elements?
yes, flowers and all sorts of things, really. Yeah.
I remember seeing one of my first inspirations for working with wire was seeing some amazing crochet wired flowers at a fair in where was I had just moved to Charlton St Peter, and it was a lovely fair there, and it was one of the craft tents. It was a prize, it was a prize winner. It was absolutely beautiful. And I remember thinking, wow, that's so intricate, that wire. And I have crocheted flowers, little flowers, but my crochet skills aren't fantastic. So
Right.
I can't read a crochet pattern, save my life. It looks like alien language to me. But yeah, really, really pretty. Now we're back. I'm afraid I'm having coffee at this time of night. It's not good, is it? But needs must. We didn't have any coffee at work today, so but when I got to work at 6:30 this morning, there was no coffee in the building.
Oh, you're joking.
No, and I was really good this morning and didn't stop on the way to work to get a coffee because I'm trying to diet, and I'm pretty sure half my problem is wine on the weekend and coffee in the week, because I always treat myself to a latte at some point in the week. And every time I drive to work I buy a latte. So I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my own cup of normal coffee in the car. So luckily at least I did that, otherwise I would probably have been asleep to come home. Right then, are we ready to first we're just going to I'm going to very quickly show you how to make jump rings, because it's
Sorry, Gemma, I'm doing a nip off because it's my first day back in London, and my daughter's really settled because she hasn't seen me all day, so I'm going off and hopefully catch up with you next week.
Yeah, okay, no worries,
Yeah.
Hayley. Well, you can catch the last bit on the video when I send it to you anyway.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
All right, good night, Hayley.
Have fun. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye, Hayley. Bye.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to quickly show you how to make jump rings, and the best way to cut them to get a nice neat finish, and then we'll go on to making some coils. So just some cones. So just before we go on to making cones, can you let me know what tools you've got to make coils with?
To make coils.
Not coils, sorry, cones, Leslie. Have you got any particular tools?
I've got the Contastic.
Got Contastic. Okay, I'll just make sure I've got the same ones as you, and I do have all of them, so.
I only just bought this. You know, when you were doing the double cones you did a few weeks ago.
Have you got the double one, have you?
I've got the double one, but I've got the Contastic and I've got the double.
The double one's really good. That is a very useful bit of kit.
Yeah. That's why I bought the Contastic, because I thought, well, they won't fit on a Wags Y-cone, so yeah, cool.
Yeah. So the Contastic is okay. I'll explain the benefits, pros and cons of each one as we go.
These as well. It's a big
Those
one.
are my favourites. I'm biased. I do love the Wags Y-cone. They are my favourites to use. What do you have, Dorothea? Do you have any of these specific cone
what's
makers?
the other one you've got? So yes, I have got one of those green things.
Wags
yeah.
cone, or the Contastic with all the different heads.
Yeah, I haven't got. Yeah, I've got some bits of. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
got something along those lines. Yeah,
I've got the
and
cone.
we've all got round nose pliers, haven't we? So I'm going to show you how to do it with each, just to cover all bases for everybody, and the pros and cons.
Okay.
Claire and Gail, what do you have?
Cone-tastic, although we're just trying to find it.
Okay.
I've got a Wags Wycone as well, but it's not as long as your one. It's a shorter one.
No, yeah, I might have to wear my swap bag so many times this week, going here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Here's my shorter one. So you can get the Wags Wycone. There's 3 different sizes you can get. So you can get this one, which is the basic, the first one, which is probably the most useful. This one, which is quite nice because it gives you a longer, slimmer. I like this one for multi-strands. You know, if you're doing a multi-strand necklace, like a crochet necklace or something, it finishes them nicely. It's a nice long taper. So this one's quite nice. And then there's a little tiny one, which is a very short, flat one, which is more like a bead cap. It makes more like a bead cap sort of style. And then, of course, you've got the cone-tastic as well. And I will say that the inverted cone, so the one that you get the 2, is fantastic and very clever, because it's impossible to achieve that result without that tool. So for that, it's totally worth having. So
are we finished with the gizmo?
Yours is there.
sorry,
Are we finished with the gizmo?
no, we'll use the gizmo again. So actually, whilst now you've all got your tools, we'll quickly do the jump rings before we go into the cones, because we can get those done and out the way, and then we won't need the gizmo anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so making jump rings, then you can use your gizmo tool to create a coil, and then we can chop it down. So say exactly the same principle. You make your coil on your mandrel. Now I've got the big mandrel here, just because I'm going to make the bigger jump rings. So if you've got the right I've got the very basic handle, so mine doesn't have a hole this big. So I'm just going to make myself a short length. Now, sometimes I make jump rings when I'm just making a couple of jump rings. I'll make them with my bell making pliers, and just make a short section of coil and cut that up. But if I want to make lots, then I would use my gizmo tool to create lots of coils. So let me spotlight me for a minute.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Okay.
Okay, now a good pair of flush cutters is essential for making decent jump rings when you're cutting them like this. If you've got a jump ring saw, or you can get these pliers that grip your jump ring, and then you saw them. And if you're going to be making a lot of jump rings, then I would suggest getting a good jump ring cutter. So I know you, Leslie, are really into chainmail, so it might be worth, that might be a tool worth investing in.
In this?
Yeah, so you hold your coils in those, and then use your saw
to
do it.
Yeah, I've got that saw as well. Yeah, I have made them before, but I've never felt they were hard enough.
Yeah, this is the thing. You then, a tumbler, then it sort of helps, and so you can go down down a rabbit hole with it. But if those things are worth investing in if you're going to be doing a lot of chainmail. But for me, I rarely need to use jump rings that I make. So so with this, then I've got my coil made, and I've got my flush cutters. Now with your flush cutters, you've got your flat side, the side here that's flat, that's the flush, that's the side that's going to cut flush, and this side you've got that pinched in section. So when we cut into our jump ring, we always want that flat side facing in towards the loop. Okay, so I'm going to take my cutters here. I'm going to do this on the other camera as well, just so I'll show you the action here and then show you close up. So to start, I'm always going to cut that first little section off. so that I've got a flat cut this side. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my pliers over, so my flat side is this side, and then go as close to that cut as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And cut the next cut in. So I've then got a pretty much flush cut that I can then close up. Okay. Now, then when you come to do the next one, you've got that pinched end because the wrong side of the cutters were in you. So you need to nip that off before you repeat the process. Okay, so each jump ring takes 3 cuts. So, you know, it's a bit, it's time consuming, but, you know, it's worth doing, particularly if you're using coloured wires. It's very hard to find the right colour jump ring to go with it. Okay, so let me show you on the other camera to maybe get a bit closer, different angle. Okay, so if I'm going to come up here. Right. You see.
Yep.
What am I looking for?
No, I'm not going to be able to do it there. Hold on. Get this one on the stand as well. So can you see that this end here? Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pinched. So I need to trim that off with the flat side of my cutters. So I'm going to come to the flat side of my cutters, make sure that that is on the cutting so that it's into the loop.
And what are you doing? Are you just cutting the bit that's sticking up?
Yeah, so we come back to here. Right. So all we're going to do is nip off the very end that is raggedy. So because when we cut the last one, it meant that the section was cut with the pinch side of the pliers. So before we cut the next one, we've got to nip off that tiny little bit. So it's just the tiniest bit you nip off just to make that flat again. Then you turn your pliers over and you go in as close as you possibly can to where the last cut was.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
Just come. Focus.
Oh, I see. So you're just cutting one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. You don't be tempted to try and do more than one at a time because it just pinches them. I mean, you can get when your cutters are brand new, you might be able to get away with it a few cheeky 2 cuts at once, but you know, you then have to cut the extra little bit off anyway. So every time you cut off the raggy bit to make it flat, turn your pliers over, cut the next, and then you've got a flush cut.
Yeah.
And again, cut the end excess off, and then cut again. So it's constantly turning your wrist over, backwards and forwards to get those flush cuts. But that's how you do it. And if you want to, you can make your coil, spread your coil out a little bit to do this. The easiest way to spread your coil out evenly is to take a piece of, I'm just going to take a piece of 0.8 mil wire. I've thread it through my coil. Thread it through the coil, and then this one end I'm just going to tip upwards like that. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my coil, and that's going to open up each one. It sort of corkscrews it open. So if you want to, if you want to keep, get a consistent opening in those coils.
You're winding the wire in between the coils.
Yeah, so I'm just twisting.
Because that's one of my downfalls when I'm doing jump rings is I catch the next one along sometimes.
So that will just open.
How did that start at the beginning? I'm confused about how that started.
Yeah, sure. Hold on, I'll get back. Just unwind it. I'll tell you what, I'll come in from the other end. No, I can't. I have to go all the way. So you're just sort of corkscrewing it round. Right, so I do it from the other end. So you just take a piece of wire through.
Yeah.
And that first section there, just open that up a little bit to help. And then this piece of wire you got going through, just bend upwards. And then you just sort of wind it through the.
Hang on. That's a bit I can't see what you're doing.
Okay.
So
you change it. You just get back up in this camera for this bit.
It just opens them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so good.
So you've got the wire coming out. Yeah.
So put the wire through the gizmo, and then I've bent it over so it's got that sort of 90-degree angle on.
Yeah.
And when I drop it down, the top sort of ring that's open.
Yeah.
Sort of wind it into it, push that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it goes into that. Yeah.
And then as you turn, it just spirals down, corkscrews.
Ah, gotcha. Finally, the penny has dropped.
Yeah, sorry. It's
that's very clever.
It's not easy to see. But this technique's good for when you want to do spirals that tessellate as well. So because you can sort of put gizmos in together so that they tessellate, but you need them to be evenly spaced to do it. So when you want to get really even spacing, the best way to do it is to wind something through it. Now it doesn't have to be wire, it can even be your gizmo mandrels. So because they've automatically got that section, so you can wind your gizmo mandrels through as well. I mean, it's a bit wider, so but anything really like that you can wind through to get your even openings.
Yeah, that helps, because I was finding with my cutters that I was cutting into, I couldn't get the little bit off without starting to cut into the next one.
Yeah,
that's a great tip.
So that would just open them up. Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
So
the other one was different to often, right?
Right.
No, it's fine.
So you cut that bit off.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's really good.
I'll put them in a little bag and save them for when we need them. Huh?
Laura Binding, she's got a jump ring maker, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Got the Durston one.
Yeah. And she was lucky she got that. I think she got the prototype.
Ah, yeah. I think if I was doing lots of chainmail, I would maybe think about doing that.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not doing enough.
It's worth it because jump rings can be expensive to buy.
Yeah.
If you're buying large quantities, they can be expensive.
Yeah.
And time consuming to make as well. Yeah. So pros and cons, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Let's put this camera back.
That's such a good tip. I really like that.
Good. Yeah, I was pleased when I discovered that one.
Can I ask you, see on your just above your orange ply, your cutters, there's like a piece. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Is that, what's that?
Well, do you want me to show you how to do that before we do the coins? To do this, so I did this with the last part one, and I made these little sections to go onto earrings. Okay, but it's really quite tricky with copper wire. So what I would recommend is you do this with aluminium wire, but I can show you how to do it if you want me to show you how to get started. So I'm going to use 0.6 wire. That'll make it a bit easier. And you want quite a big mandrel on your gizmo,
Right.
because we need the loops to be fairly big to make this work and make it easy on your fingers. If you use the aluminium wire, you can go down the size.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to cut a section. I did a mini video doing this as well, one of those quick
All right.
videos,
Okay.
which is on my.
If we're doing this with copper, what size wire are we using?
So I'll go with a 0.6 with copper, just so it's a bit softer and easier on the fingers. What I forget is that my fingers are very strong and hardened, and so when I got the group to do this, it was quite tricky. So so I sort of put this to the side. But so I'm just going to make a coil. You don't need much. You don't need much to make like this little earring, for example. So this is a ready-made hoop that I've then stitched these little loops onto.
Okay.
So I'm going to take this off of my mandrel, and I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to leave myself 2 little handles, so I've got a bit of wire each side to hold on to, and I'm going to stretch this coil out. Okay, so this is where if you really wanted to keep it really even, you could do that technique of spacing, but we need them quite well stretched. So now I'm going to take either end, and I'm going to stretch that out to about, what was that, about 3 times as long as it was, maybe a bit more. So try and keep it as even as you can. It's really well stretched. And then you've got to do the action of this. So we're pushing like that. So we're going to flatten these down with our fingers. So you push to flatten them. Okay, so that they sort of lie down. Can you see how that's sort of flattened?
Yeah.
So you're pushing all the way along. If you do this along, you'll know it's even tough on my fingers. So so you'll do that for a section maybe like that.
Yeah.
So it's flattened down, and then you take your nylon jaw pliers. So do it as much as you can with your fingers to start with, and then you take your nylon jaw pliers and you bite down, and it opens the links up. You see that growing?
Oh, that's cool.
And then when you fan that round, they open up and make quite nice, neat little, little connector loops. Or the little video I've done, it's a short one, but you can see the process. And then I've just put them on like some chain either side, and then hang little beads from it. But yeah, it's a nice,
Okay.
I like it.
It is a nice technique to use. So yeah, and if you've ever seen people make those gorgeous bonsai trees, this is what they do. They make these big long lengths of these, and then they wrap them round to make the leaves.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like blossom.
Right.
Oh.
So yeah, it is a really nice technique, and it makes things nice and consistent. So yeah, just a little demo there. Have a practice with that, but I would recommend using aluminium wire. It's much easier on your fingers. Oh, I've lost Dorothea. Where's she gone?
Oh, and Hayley.
Yeah.
Hayley left.
Oh, okay.
She's daughter. She's got a.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe she lost connection.
Yeah, well, the waiting room's off, so hopefully she'll be able to get back in.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it is a nice technique.
So that video's on your Clothes Mojo YouTube.
No, it's on my Instagram, and it's on my Gemma Crow jewelry page.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah, I think I did share it into Mojo, but it was shared, so you might not find it in posts.
Okay.
But it's if you just scroll down my Gemma Crow jewelry page, you'll find it on there, or just look for under videos. But yeah,
Okay.
it makes quite nice little
Dorothea's back.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
There you go.
Oh, what happened, Dorothea? Did you lose signal?
Sorry, I had it froze up for some reason.
Oh,
But no, it just suddenly said your internet connection is unstable.
oh. Well,
Me last night. Well,
I'm glad you're back. So
yeah,
right then, let's make some cones. Let's get cracking. So first cone I will talk through then is using the Wags Y cone. Pros and cons. So the pros with the Wags Y cone is that it's always easier to make a cone when the cone is getting bigger, because the wire automatically wants to go to the least resistance. So it wants to go to the narrowest point when you pull on wire.
Yeah.
You know, with a thread, anything will want to do that. It will want to slide up. Okay, so having the smallest point first means the wire can't slide up. It's just butting nicely and tight against the next coil. So really lovely and easy to use. I'll show you the technique, because when this product was first brought out, the demonstrators taught us how to use it, and this is how they recommend using it. So I'm going to do it their way. So they always create a little loop like this at the tip of their wire to start with, just a little loop, and then they post that through the Wags Y cone. Okay, so they just post it through the top.
Yep.
And then they do their coil. Okay, so then what I'm doing is I'm pulling the wire out to the side and I'm turning the tool. Okay, so I'm using my wrist to turn the tool and just pulling and turning. And you just keep going. So when you get so far, you can push that wire up out of the way. And I'm using my finger against the tool now to really get those coils nice and tight against the cone. Okay, so you can stop at any point. You can keep going right to the end, or you can, you know, have a shorter cone.
and what gauge wire did you use?
I'm using a 1mm on here.
Okay.
You can use 0.8, but I wouldn't go any lower than that to make these cones, because they're quite big loops. So, and you can't work hard in them. So
right.
0.6 would be too vulnerable, especially with this size. Okay, so once you finish, you can then cut the end of the wire. Now, the reason they say to put that loop here is so that you can release this quickly off of the cone. So if you just had the wire straight through, you've got to try and push this wire out to give you a bit of space. So with this one, I can just cut the loop, pull out the wire, and my cone's ready.
Clever.
Now, what I don't like about the Wags Y cone, or the downside then, is because we're going from the top, the opening at the top is really quite big.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what you have to do is you either have to use some sort of little bead on the top to cap it, to sort of neaten that end up, or you need to do the technique I was talking to you about earlier by slowly closing that loop to make it smaller and more tapered. Okay, I will show you another technique to help close that gap at the top. So just in case this is what you use. So I'm going to do it again. This time I'm going to do my way. So I'm going to pop that through the top and without the loop this time. And I'm going to just, the first loop I do is going to be quite loose. So hold on, I'm going to leave a bit more wire. So I'm going to put it through. So I've got, you know, a decent like 2.5 inches sticking out at this end.
Yeah.
And then the first one I do, I'm going to do kind of loose. Okay, so I can get to it easy. And then I'm going to carry on and do the rest of my coil. So just do it. Won't do the whole thing. Okay, so I'll just cut that away. And then I'm going to try and release this and keep this wire on. So I'm going to try and push this wire through so that I've still got it to use. It is fiddly. I push it through and take my, where's my pliers, and try and pull that loop, pull that wire back through the hole. So this is easier with a wire that isn't plated because you don't have to worry about marking the wire. So if you're using bare copper, for example, you can then polish off any marks you make. So I'm just trying to pull that, tease that back through that hole so that I can then release it from the mandrel. Okay, but before I do, I'm going to push down, hold down really firmly. So I'm really pushing down like that. And then I'm going to take this wire and wrap it around the top so I can get that closed much tighter at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. And then even then you can only go so far. Okay. And then to get it even tighter at the top, I use my round nose pliers, put it into the top, you know, from the top edge there, and continue that spiral around until I get that closed. Now it looks a bit open there, but once you've got tension in it, because it's pushing up against beads here and perhaps, you know, your clasp or your bead there, it will you know, close up and become more solid. And you can take your time refining that with that technique that I was showing you before, by slowly closing that loop at the top to get it neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have only got the waxed Y cone and you do want that narrow top, that's about the only way you can achieve it with the waxed Y cone. Okay. So moving on to Cone-tastic. I like that all the tools are inside. That's helpful. And you've got a nice selection of, you know, very useful size cones. Okay, I'm going to go with this bigger one just for ease. And I'm going to pop that in. So get that in, tighten it up. Okay. I'm going to do the 1 mil wire again.
Useful. Never seen it.
Right, so the downside of this is the fact that it takes a lot of sort of dexterity to hold the coil down as you twist, because obviously it's going to want to go up because it's narrower. So I'm going to post the wire through that bottom hole there and start turning, and you turn the tool. So rather than taking the wire around the cone, same with the waxed Y cone, you always turn the tool, because as you go round like this, you're twisting the wire, so you're going to get sort of gaps in between your coils. So you always turn the tool and you want to pull the tension out towards you. And so this time I'm going to have to keep my fingers pushing down that cone while I turn. Okay, so it's tricky. You have to push it down. I tend to use both fingers to push, so finger and thumb either side of the cone as I turn, to try and keep it down. Okay, but you can see it springs up really easily. So it does take a bit of patience and practice. And yeah, I'm never quite happy with the cones here. Now with the inverted one, Leslie, it's great because you can start in the middle. So do you remember the demonstration I did?
Yeah.
With that one, start in the middle, and then you can get bigger each side.
Right, okay.
So you know, that's much easier. But can you see, even I'm experienced and practiced, and I'm really struggling to keep that down while I create the cone.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously things that will help are a soft wire. So a very soft wire, a bare copper would be better, soft bare copper wire would be better because it's got less spring in it, so it won't open as much and won't resist you as much. But yeah, you'll see when I finish this, as I'm turning and holding, it's just corkscrewing up the mandrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it, you know, it's very rare you'll actually get a cone that looks like that cone, that shape.
Right.
But if you can master it, you do get a nice small end, which is good. Okay.
I can't even get my cone to go in the blooming thing.
Gemma, I did one like that, but this was with copper.
Yeah.
So I was quite chuffed with how it looked, but it didn't really kind of fit what I wanted it to fit.
Oh, is that with the Cone-tastic?
Yeah, that's all I've got, unfortunately.
That looks really good, but that is softer. So the softer wire. So mine's quite a hard copper core silver plate. So it's quite a springy hard wire. So yeah,
that's not using copper for everything at the moment.
Yeah, well, I generally do, but
yeah.
So yeah, so squishing that down, you can see the tip of that is quite nice. The tip of it's quite neat, but this bottom bit where you're finding your way and your tension is very loose and springy. Okay, so it's tricky the Cone-tastic's tricky.
Yeah.
If you do by any chance have the inverted Cone-tastic, that you've got it's got heads that they've obviously realized that it's not great, and you can now get heads that are upside down. So this one slots, you can either slot it in that way and work at the cone backwards, or
Not too bad.
where am I? So we can get these that screw in. I'm trying to find the one with the, I've got so many little bits here. I seem to have lost a piece. Oh, see these two. So this is great because you can't make these without this tool. So this screws into the one so that you get this inverted cone. But even then, I'll start in the middle and work big and then bigger at the other end. So but this is quite nice, and it is really nice for making. I think these are great for hanging veils onto because they widen out, and it stops the veil from slipping around the necklace.
Yeah.
So it's a really great. Oh. It's only a slight taper on this one, but it's just enough.
Yeah.
To give you that sort of narrower area for your veil to sit. I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a bigger version as well where it's inverted too, but
it's a clever idea, isn't it?
It is very clever. And then
How'd you get off?
Of course you unscrew the top cone, and as soon as that's released, you can take them off both sides. So it is a very clever little invention, that.
Yeah.
And then you can just trim it down to the right size. Okay. So the next bit, we put all this away. So just in case you want to make, you don't want to take all your tools with you, just put your rhinos pliers. We just want a small mandrel to work with, a small cone. I'll work out which bits go in which end now.
I got chuffed with that one. Yeah.
So we're going to make a cone with our round nose pliers. And again, this is tricky because we're going to start at the base of our pliers and work upwards. We can start at the top and work downwards, but you'll find it just keeps slipping off and you'll end up with an ever growing cone. Okay, so we've got the same problem with holding it down, but we've got the added support of being able to grip it with our pliers.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. I'm going to use a 0.8 to do this with. It's a bit smaller, it'll be strong enough and a bit easier to manipulate on the pliers. So, and I would work from the reel if I were you at home, but because it keeps getting in the way on the camera, I'm just going to cut a section off to work with. Okay, so with this, we don't want any wire protruding, because if we've got wire protruding, it's going to prevent you from turning your pliers. Yeah. So we want to have that wire right into the jaws of the pliers, right at the base, without any sticking out. Okay, and then we're just going to turn as if we're just making a wrap loop. Okay, so just turning and turning, and we're going to keep doing this. We're going to do it slowly. This isn't something you can, you know, do really quickly, because we want to try and keep this pushed down all the time. So as I'm going around, I'm pushing it down the pliers, and I'm gripping and pushing down at the same time. So it's like having an extra pair of hands to the cone-tastic. Okay, you can see it is starting to slip up the pliers, but it's not going to be so drastic that that it distorts the cone too much. It is starting to slip up slightly. You can see a bit of a gap appearing now. So just a case of keeping an eye, keep pushing it down. Now you will probably also find that this bottom loop gets a bit messy, because it, you know, it'll catch and it'll open, but that's okay. You can just cut that off at the end. Okay, so keep going, keep turning, gripping, turning, pushing down. My fingers are both sides of the jaws of the pliers, pushing down to keep it in place. Okay, this is a nice soft wire as well. So again, the softer the wire, the easier this is to do. And as I get up towards the top, it's getting a bit more tricky, because the jaws of the pliers catch at the bottom but not at the top, because you know, because the wire's in the way, so the jaws aren't closing, so it gets a bit trickier towards the top. If you find it too tricky, what you can do at this point when we're near the top is we can turn the pliers round and start going from this end and just do the very tip of the pliers to really close up those top loops. Okay, so there we've got a really nice tidy little little cone. And you know, different round nose pliers have got different sort of a different gradient on how they taper. So it might be now that you're looking at round nose pliers differently, thinking, ooh, that's got a nice fat bottom and a nice taper, and you might use these instead. But that's a nice tapered little cone there. And these are nice for capping beads like this one.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a nice way of adding a bit of interest to your bead. I always think these are lovely on the teardrops, just works really well.
Cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are you getting on with that one?
Oh. I had to go with the cone-tastic. Is that cone-tastic?
Yeah, how did it go for you? Oh, pretty good. That's really
It's the
pretty good.
first time I've used one, so
Yeah, your wire must be quite nice and soft, not too springy.
no, it wasn't actually. But no, and I've tidied it up. So
yeah. The
It
top
was-
of mine was nice, but I had to cut quite a lot of the bottom off.
yeah, I cut a fair bit, but yeah, it weren't too bad actually, but it did really hurt my hand.
Yeah.
I'm using the plier one. I'm just not bad.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks,
Those pliers.
yeah, that looks brilliant. That's a really nice, neat coil. I can imagine that sort of suiting your style of jewelry as well, Leslie. These coils.
I can't get my contastic mandrel in there, so I maybe have to file a little bit off.
No, twist it. It's just it only fits a certain way because I was struggling, and I realised that you've got to, if you put it in and then you take your screw out so far.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then just keep twisting it round as you go round, and it does drop in.
Nah, mine's the hole's big enough.
Oh,
not big enough.
Send it back, Leslie.
Yeah.
I'll get John to fix it. John will fix it. Yeah, John will sort it. He'll have a file or something he will be able to sort that with.
Okay, so you can sort of mix up your techniques. So here's a little pair of earrings here with a bit of a, oh, I'm not spotlighted. So I've got a little coil sat onto the top of the gemstone with a gizmo coil base. So here's one. So this is a tiny 0.4 mil wire that I've gizmoed with.
Yeah.
So made a nice little coil. Just take this off. I'll start again. So I've got my bead and a little gizmo coil, and then one of my cones. So obviously, if you're putting a cone over, you can either put them sort of up against one another, or you can cut this so that it slips over your gizmo coil, which is neater, I think. So if I do that with this one, cut this one down so that gizmo coil will slot through the middle of it. So just find the point, slot through. Yeah, so that sits on like a little shoe on the bottom.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so that would be fine. So then I'm just going to quickly turn this into just make a little coil, little spiral on the bottom to make it a head pin, because I haven't got any head pins out. Okay, so I can then thread that up through my gemstone. Then I can either put my gizmo coil on and then thread my cone over the top. I'll pull all that down. Yeah, it just sort of helps finish everything off. Having that bit of a taper on the end of your coil is just quite nice. And then if you wanted to, you could then take this wire down and embellish, wrap around again, or just do a little loop like like a head pin. So there's a couple of
Nice earrings, wouldn't they?
Yeah, this is it. I think these are lovely earrings. So yes, last week we did the briolette wraps.
Yeah.
So because this is a tapered gemstone, you could just take your wire down and briolette wrap over the top, but it just sort of finishes that gizmo coil. So either cones. The other lovely thing with cones, and the reason I do like to have them, one, because they're fantastic for gathering lots of threads together, or if you're using chunky threads or ropes and you want to hide the ends, they're great for that. But the other reason I love them is because I like things to smoothly taper. I've said to you today about pinching down the ends of the wires. I don't like a stark end and beginning, so when I'm making gizmo coil necklaces or something like that, I like to taper them into the gemstone at the center, or whatever the focal is. So with the coils, either side of a gemstone, it just tapers everything nicely and smoothly in together.
That's
So
nice.
have I got this? I've got a gizmo coil, then a cone, then my gemstone, then a cone. You know, it just helps everything seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know, it just, I don't know, I like that taper. So yeah, so that, you know, there's lots of ways. And also, you know, talking about sort of design and everything from the creative confidence keeps the flow. It stops any sudden endings stop the flow, don't they? So if you can, anytime you can taper and undulate, then that's going to help with, you know, keeping your eye moving smoothly through a piece.
So that's probably what you could possibly do on the ends.
I was waiting to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you could make these to go over the ends. If you look at this piece, or this piece, if I show you this piece a bit closer, the other camera.
And basically see.
So just gotta get the right.
Yep.
Yeah. So can you see that coil that's sitting on top?
Yeah.
The gizmo coil. So that is taken, that's me leaving lots of wire from the loop. So taking a much longer length of wire through and then wrapping around, but then taking that over the top of the gizmo coil as well. So it sort of caps it off.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a briolette wrap over the top of the gizmo. But that does require you to taper those ends in and pinch them in to the wire. Otherwise it's too stark a finish and the wire would just push it to either side. So yeah, there's, you know, a few different things, but yeah, just having a few options of making the cones just helps with the finish, I think. Okay, so is everybody feeling okay with that? How did your cones go, Dorothea?
Yeah, okay, I think. Well, not too bad.
Which techniques did you use?
I mean, I did manage some. I did the cone-tastic thing, and then I was trying to do it on the round nose pliers. I was finding that a bit tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky. It's more a dexterity and like knowing where to put your hands and having you know, that. So I think it's getting very used to and comfortable with your tools as well. You know, like knitting, you know, I tend to knit with my elbows in the air. You have to relax down and it's that. But yeah, it is tricky because you're getting smaller, but it's worth persevering with and taking some time and also having a nice soft wire that really helps. So have you got some that you could use, or do you need a bit more practice?
I think I'll have to find some. I think most of the stuff I've got is pretty much the same. Anyway, I'll have a search.
I didn't catch everything you said then, Dorothy, because I think your internet connection must be playing up.
Yeah, it's wobbling at the moment.
Robotic. So, but are you happy with the technique that you can sort of practice it and get to grips with it and perhaps use it? Oh, good. Okay. And how did your pliers ones go, ladies, Claire and Gail? Nice.
Good.
Oh, piece fell off. Okay.
Broken it. Yeah, that's good.
Just a bit wobbly. So I lost concentration because I was just doing it while listening to you, and then I looked. I was like, "Oh shit, it's gone a bit wonky now."
Yeah, you have to keep attention, but you can probably push it down onto the pliers and give it a, you know, manipulate it and push it against the pliers and neaten it back up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I thought I'd concentrate on that a little bit more after I finished listening to what you were saying. So
I think that's my favorite. I think on the pliers is. I like that.
Yeah, if you can do it, it's nice. The only thing is you need to get some fatter pliers as well to make your bigger cones, because you're not going to get many threads in there.
No.
But it is nice. I think it is very nice for little earring toppers. It does look very nice.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
And Gail, how have you got on? What have you got any?
I didn't. I've been just watching you, to be honest, but because I want to try and put those crocheted necklaces I did, but I'm sure when I tried to put that on, it didn't look right for some reason. So maybe I hadn't got the right shape, the right size one. Yeah,
sometimes the ends can be too big. But how many strands has your crochet piece got?
I can't remember.
I think it was about 4. Was it 4 or 5?
Because you might find that the ones on the pliers are the best, because you don't actually need that big an opening. So you might find that the smaller ones are better for doing that anyway.
I'll have a try of that then.
Or the other thing was, you know how we ended the Viking knit the other week?
Yeah.
That can work as well.
Yeah, I was really pleased. I think I showed you last night, didn't I, on one? But I was really pleased that I could actually finish this. This off nicely. Yeah,
that looks gorgeous. That does look lovely.
So, but I used your method of the tilting it there.
Tilting it. Yeah, in fact, while we've got gizmo coils handy, should I just show you quickly how to do that?
Yeah, that would be really helpful for people, because I love that one.
Yeah, this is a good technique for ending cords and thicker threads.
Well,
things like
you
that.
know the one we tried with the little dustbin lid on?
Yeah.
See, that hasn't gone so nice as that other one, and I don't know whether it's because of the lid's played up.
Yeah, and it's bigger, Gail, as well. You know, it's got more room. Like if you used a 1.25 wire, as you scale up, it might be better to use a thicker wire for a bigger. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a bigger scale.
I can't remember what I used for this, to be honest.
I think that was
a 1 millimeter.
No, actually, what did, because I used the bigger size for this, didn't I?
Yeah, 0.6 you used.
6, yeah, so 6, and then I think I used 8 for this.
Yeah.
So go even bigger.
It should be a 1 mil really to hold it. For that sort of size, you want to go up a gauge with the wire to hold the shape better. And that might be why you're finding it a bit wobbly.
Actually, Gemma, looking at it, I think I did use one.
Yeah, I think that's what we all use. I think we all use.
Yeah. No, I did use one looking at it, but
perhaps it's a bit because your cord is thicker than anybody else's, so your end will be bigger.
Yeah.
So I would recommend trying them in 1.25.
Okay.
And then that will definitely make a difference in how stable they are.
Yeah. Okay.
You could try it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, okay, I won't show you the dustbin lid ones, everybody else, but I will show you the very quick cord ends, because again, they're great to do with your gizmo coiler, and you can just sit and make a load and put them in your stash bag, and you've got them to use. So you can make your coils on your gizmo if you want to. I'm just going to do mine very quickly on my bail makers, because just for speed.
You need to spotlight up again, hun, please.
Okay, thank you. Change my. Okay, so I'm just going to do a very quick coil. I'm using 0.8 wire here. I'm going to go with the sort of third one, which is about a 4 millimeter mandrel. So if you're, and these you can do whatever size you want, you just need to scale up or scale down your wire, like I was saying to Gail. So if I'm making anything bigger than this mandrel here, I would definitely be going up to a 1 mil minimum.
Yeah.
And depending on sort of the size of the cord that you want to use, or the weight of it as well, you want to go up in scale. So if you've got a really heavy pendant that you're putting on leather cord and you're making this end cap for your leather cord or this connector, then you want to go up. So I would say 0.8 or 1 millimeter is fine for most projects. And I've got a 0.8 here. Right, So I've just made a little coil of wire. Just going to trim off the excess. So I mainly use these on ropes and cords and things like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lift. So here's the cut side. This is the little cut is just here. I know it's tricky to see because it's tiny. So the cut section's here.
Yeah.
What I want to do is come opposite that to the other side of the loop. Okay, so to the opposite side here. And I'm just going to lift that, separate it. If you can with your fingernail, great. I'm just going to lift it slightly so that it's separated.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all I'm going to do is take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to hold across that loop. So the cut side, the cut is here. I've lifted it the opposite side and I'm taking my pliers in and holding on.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to hold the coils firmly in my thumb and forefinger, and I'm going to twist my pliers upwards so that it twists that loop open and the end sits inside the coil. Okay, and then I've got a loop to put my clasp on or suspend a chain or whatever. And then I'll put my cord or my rope in there.
Yeah.
A bit of cord here. So I'm put my cord into the ending, and I would use a bit of glue in there. So pop a bit of glue in as well to secure it. But then to properly, make it even more secure, I'm going to pinch the very end loop in.
Yeah.
But it pinches the cord and sits nice and tight. In fact, that is quite strong on its own. So, it's not going to fall off easily. Okay, and that's it. That's how you can end your cords.
Good.
Or your Viking knits, if you do that, or any rope of any nature, you can end in that way for a nice neat finish.
It's really good.
Yeah, so that's all using your gizmo. Very useful, aren't they, gizmo coils?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I'm not to demonstrate because I'm watching the time,
Yeah.
but I think I saw Rachel Norris one time gizmo.
Yeah.
On top of that, and she gizmoed that again.
Yeah, you can. You
can
gizmo a gizmo. But it to be honest, I think it looks quite ugly. It's very. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of a gizmo.
Right, but you can do it.
You can do it. Yeah, you can do it, but you need to start small. So I'm just going to put the gallery view on. So you need to start small if you're going to do that. So start with a 0.4 wire.
Okay.
And then I'm not on Spotlight anymore, am I?
No.
Good. Okay. Change my video. Yeah, start small and then work up your gauges, because otherwise it gets far too bulky. But it does look quite messy, I think. It's irregular and a bit too spiky, but try it. It's fun to try. Might make something quite interesting. Other things to consider is using your finer wire. I know we've done spirals the last couple of weeks, so you can, here's one of the spirals we did on the double spirals we did. You can sort of put a gizmo coil around the outside of one of those to sort of frame it. When you do your end caps, we've just used bare wire, but you can also use a gizmo coil. And a cheap way of doing it is if you've got any French wire for like ending pearls, you can slide that on to a core wire and then gizmo that. That looks great. And you can also use that on your wax Y cones and it looks really nice. So you can do all those things. You can't do the plier technique with a gizmo coil on your wire because the pinching keeps opening up the coils. But you've got so many options, and keep exploring with the gizmo and have a look back at some of Rachel Norris's work with gizmo coils, because she's the queen of it. She is pretty much exhausted all the techniques you can possibly do with gizmos, and some of them are incredible, but yeah, so there's loads of inspiration out there, but hopefully that's the basics for you and you feel confident to play and explore a bit more.
I just think, you know that necklace I put together, that one, remember?
Yeah, we love this.
I'm wondering, I think that might be nice on there.
Yeah, it would. It'd take a very long coil.
Yeah, I know. I've got the deluxe one. I've got the deluxe one. I think because obviously that's aluminium and it's not, it's, you know, it bends out of shape. But if I did something like that, that might be quite nice around there.
It would be gorgeous if you can work out how to do it. Now there is a way you can join two gizmos together,
right?
But it isn't invisible, so you have to sort of be aware that you're not going to get an invisible join, and you will have to do a bit of magic to try and make it look seamless. But if you've got two coils, you can actually screw them together,
right?
So long as they are facing different directions, you know, they're opposite ways round, you take one, you can screw it into the other. See how
that's how we did the festival one, wasn't it?
Sort of,
yeah.
No, we didn't.
But there was different cones.
Yeah, we didn't screw them in together. We tessellated them, which is
right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we slotted them in. But yeah, so that is sort of how you can. I mean, that's open, so it's very visible. But that is how you can join, just by opening at the very end of each one and screwing it in together.
I might have a go.
Yeah,
I might have a go.
Yeah, definitely have a go.
Do it.
I mean, you're definitely, you're a bit of a genius, you and your husband, with you can probably work it out.
And work it out.
Yeah, use a drill and a great long pole, but you need a really long, you really need a very long pole to do it.
Yeah. We'll see.
I've got a drill.
Dorothea, looks like you look like you've got an idea, Dorothea.
Well, I'm just wandering around trying to keep the signal going.
Oh,
I just switched it onto my phone, so.
We must have a sudden surge of people using the internet at this time of night. But okay, so long as everyone's happy and there's no more questions, we'll say good night.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you, Gemma.
Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. But have a good play this week. Do you want another challenge, you guys that are on every week?
Yeah.
Combining this week's with last week's.
No, I'm far too busy this week.
It's good to go back to the previous week when you've just learned something new to help it bed in. So
yeah,
I think your challenge every week is to incorporate last week's task with this week's.
Yeah.
And try and bring the two together.
Okay.
Right then.
Cool.
Okay, well, I won't see you on Monday.
No, I know.
I'll see you next Tuesday, Leslie.
Nice to meet you, Dorothea.
Yeah,
You
nice.
too.
Yeah, nice to have you, Dorothea.
Nice
Hopefully we'll see you another time. It would be lovely. And Claire and Gail, I'll see you. Will I see you both tomorrow? Or just
Are you
Yeah,
coming?
yeah.
Yes.
I've actually booked the day off.
okay.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Viking knit cabochons.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I've
Oh, wait,
got quite a nice April because I break up actually on Thursday after my session delivering training on Thursday. I've got a couple of weeks off, and because we've got May Day,
Yeah.
where it falls, it also means that kind of I've just got over 2 weeks. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
And do you want us to sort that other item out tomorrow as well?
Hold on, I'm just going to stop